Everything that we create at Forever Sports is available for free and always that we create always all of your favorites. Everything that we create at Forever Sports is available for free and always. Hello everyone. Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Sports. As one of the leading channels in the world providing free coverage of all of your favorite sports, we are asking for your support. Everything that we create at Forever Sports is available for free and always
Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. My name is Reese, and today I'm going to be bringing you qualifying out in Canada, and an exciting session it is looking to be ahead of us this evening. Well, at least this evening for me in South Africa. Uh, Let me know where you are all watching in from around the world, but it is looking like weather may play a factor in this qualifying session, so be sure to stick around. They seem to be thinking that this weather system might just miss them, but it is so dark overhead. I think we could get absolutely anything out here in Canada this afternoon. So, looking at what tires they might have ahead of them this afternoon in qualifying, they've of course got the intermediate and full wet tires should it be rainy, and they've of course got the medium, soft, and hard tires should it be dry. TC in the comment section saying, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us, TC, one of our regulars on this channel, as is Narol Pochita saying, hello, everyone. Be sure to let me know who you're supporting for this session. It's going to be very, very interesting. The Red Bulls looking like they're on the back foot. Mercedes seeming to find a heapful of lap time in that practice 3 session. That practice 3 session, though, we don't now know how indicative it is going to be, because there was reduced running in FP1 and FP2 because of the weather. So we'll have to wait and see who really does have the upper hand. Maybe the Red Bulls were just doing some more of the race sims this afternoon in FP3. The qualifying forecast is light rain. Track temperature is currently sitting at 36 degrees Celsius, humidity 63%, and the air temperature being 21 degrees Celsius. So cold out there in Canada, not as cold as it is out here in Johannesburg at the moment, but hopefully we will get an interesting session ahead of us as we see Charles Leclerc making his way towards the Ferrari garage to get into his car before this qualifying session. The Ferraris look to be a little bit nowhere really in that FP3 session. As I said, though, wasn't really the most indicative session because of the fact that they had reduced running in FP1 and FP2 because of red flags, weather, you name it. They had it to deal with today and yesterday. So we're just going to have to wait and see who really does have the upper hand here today. The Red Bulls not looking, though, as quick as we would expect. A lot of support this weekend for the home hero, of course, of Lance Stroll. Not going to get a lot of support for him in my comment section, but we'll have to wait and see what he's able to in his car. As is Fernando Alonso was able to find a lot of pace in that FP3 session. Hopefully that is a good indicator that they should be quick in the qualifying this afternoon. Max Verstappen seemed to find a little bit of extra pace, though, in the final sector. As we're hearing, Yuki Tsunoda has now re-signed for the Racing Bulls for the next season. So Yuki Tsunoda has now re-signed for the old AlphaTauri, used to be Toro Rosso, now called Visa Cash App Red Bull, or Racing Bulls rather. So he now has an extended contract going into the next season. Yanni J saying hello, hello, and TC saying please stay dry. We'll have to wait and see. It's still dry at the moment, as we're just getting a little bit of an interview with Zach Brown, but we'll have to wait and see how it develops throughout the session. Just hearing that it did rain a little bit ago, and now it's drying now for a little bit, and of course they're expecting the rain to come once again. Zach Brown saying he thinks that the Aston Martins are looking quick, the Red Bulls and the Mercedes, of course, also looking quick. So he is expecting a 4-way fight for the top spots here. Just being asked who he thinks is going to be on top between the two McLaren drivers. Just saying that they're both definitely pushing each other. He thinks maybe Lando has the better qualifying pace. I think that Oscar Piastri has actually been doing really well recently in his qualifying pace. So I think I'll be watching him quite closely this afternoon. Being asked whether they think they're in the fight for pole this afternoon, Zach Brown saying he doesn't think so, but they'll certainly give it their all. Well, we'll have to wait and see what true pace the McLarens have this afternoon as we're waiting 9 minutes left to go on the clock until the start of this next qualifying session. So just as we're getting our timing boards up now, we're watching these grey clouds coming overhead. It is certainly looking very, very ominous. Hopefully it will hold out and maybe we can get a clear first set, then a bit of a more rain affected or weather affected second and third session that could really make things quite exciting for us. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about Yuki Tsunoda re-signing for Visa Cash App Racing Bulls for the next season. It certainly is an interesting development. We expected it to happen. We also expected, with the departure of Esteban Ocon from the Esteban Ocon leaving the Alpine team, we thought maybe there may be a bit of a uh, push from Alpine to try and sign Yuki Tsunoda, who's doing so well at the moment, but it is looking like he is being re-signed and held by his current team there at Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. Yanni saying Yuki deserves better, but it is what it is. I would have loved to have seen him at least being pushed through into the main team of Red Bull because it, I don't think that Sergio Perez is really pushing hard enough to stay in that seat right now, as we're seeing some Canadian fans saying Oscar will adopt you so you can have another home race. But yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't see a bit of a promotion for Yuki Tsunoda, and I think it was a bit boring to re-sign Perez to the to the Red Bull team when he isn't really putting out too much of a great showing in such a competitive car. Sure, in the last couple of races, it has not been the form of the field. As TC asks, will they retain Daniel Ricciardo? That is certainly going to be interesting as well to watch. We've, of course, got so many young drivers coming through into Formula One or waiting in the wings to come into Formula One. So, with so much talent waiting, will they re-sign Daniel Ricciardo if he doesn't show any form? I think he kind of needs to show that he still has uh, the pace in him to keep that seat in V carb. But I would have, of course, loved to continue to see Daniel Ricciardo, but we don't want to see him all the way at the back of the grid. We want to see him uh, with the pace and form of old. And at the moment, we're not really seeing that for him. But as we're waiting with 6 minutes left to go now of the session, we need to give our predictions into the session. Who do we think will top the timing boards? Of course, Max Verstappen and Red Bull should be the favorites coming around here. It is a more traditional circuit, less bumpy than what was seen out in Monaco and the race before that, where the Red Bulls were struggling a little bit. They struggle a little bit in Imola because we know how bumpy it is there. Maybe that's just the weakness of that Red Bull car. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see them running away at all of these races. We want to see those weaknesses creeping in to their design, allowing the other teams to catch up a little bit. And that's certainly looking like it is happening this weekend, with Mercedes showing some great form in FP3. But I think I'm going to give my predictions still with Verstappen out on top, then Hamilton behind, and perhaps Fernando Alonso in P3. I don't think we'll get Sergio Perez anywhere near that top spot, unfortunately. But maybe I will be wrong. Let's see what comes to play in the next couple of minutes. We're now getting the credits rolling with all of the drivers' pictures being shown as we approach 5 minutes before the start of this qualifying session out in Canada. Such a historic circuit, Circuit Gilles-Villeneuve, named after, of course, the iconic racing driver. As we just get the final few drivers' pictures showing, Before we get some stats about this beautiful circuit with those ominous clouds showing overhead, we could be in for some rain here in this qualifying session, but will it affect the first qualifying session where it all counts, whether you can get out or not? This could really be a very, very tricky session ahead of us as we're at the 9th round of this 24 round season in 2024 in Montreal this weekend, with those dark clouds, of course, as I've alluded to, showing overhead. One of the longer circuits, 4.3 kilometers, 2.7 miles, full throttle spent at 65%, and the track lap record at 110. The top speed is 349.7 kilometers an hour with 14 turns and an elevation of only 5.25 meters. Not a lot of elevation, as this is set around the sea, of course, here in Montreal. Soft, medium, and hard being the C5, 4, and 3 compounds this weekend, the softest in the Pirelli range once again. Of course, that inter and wet tire is also available should we get the rain coming out here, and those clouds are getting closer and closer as we get closer and closer to the start of the Quali 1 session. Old Man Roo saying, hello, Reese and Formula One fans. Thank you very much for joining me. As TC says, I agree, Max will take pole with ease. Be sure to let us know who you are rooting for to take that top spot in qualifying here today. Do you also agree with us that Max Verstappen will take that pole position, or do you think the Mercedes will be able to steal something from the Red Bulls here this evening? Wind picking up a little bit to 9.3 kilometers southeasterly, humidity 69%, track temperature 32 degrees Celsius, relatively cold, cloudy overhead with 20 degrees Celsius being the air temperature. We are waiting overhead to see whether this rain will affect. Risk of rain for the Formula One qualifying session is sitting at 80%. As Lindiwe says, hello everybody, thank you very much for joining us once again, as Russell Sandy also saying Lewis Hamilton all the way. So let's see whether that will come true this afternoon. As we're looking at the fastest in the practice formats, Norris took practice 1, Alonso took practice 2, Hamilton took practice 3, but qualifying is really where it all matters for the race tomorrow afternoon. Who will take the top spot here today? Let me know in the comment section. I said Max Verstappen will take that top spot with Lewis Hamilton second and Fernando Alonso in third. Let's see who will be the fastest though. As Noel Pujita says Max, I hope. He's saying, oh geez, 80% for the rain predictions here in Quali. Cora saying, evening guys, thank you very much for joining us, Cora. 125 of you watching alongside with me. Thank you very much. As I'm sure you've noticed, we have now surpassed 6,000 subs on this channel and going towards 7K. So be sure to hit the subscribe button if you have not already, so that you can stay up to date with all the latest Formula One and Moto GP news, as well as all of the other big motorsport news that may come out. We're looking at a couple of drivers not wasting time to wait at the end of the pit lane, because of course with the threat of rain you do not want to get caught out and not have a clean lap in. Charles Leclerc still in his pit box at the moment. Lando Norris now leaves his grid box, or his pit box rather, as the two Red Bulls as will join the queue. A very expensive traffic jam waiting for the green light. 1 minute still to go. TC saying, what's the chance for Zhou causing a red flag again, as we're seeing some raindrops falling on the circuit now. So these outlaps are really where it matters, as we have the green flag now being shown. All of the drivers waiting to get out on circuit, desperate to get a clean lap in before the threat of rain affects their chances of getting out in Q1. It is just getting darker and darker over the circuit as the clouds come more overhead and the threat of rain becomes even more ominous. We're watching the first drivers getting out on circuit tentatively, as it is still quite cold around there, getting their soft tires up to temperature to prepare for their first hot laps of this qualifying. Mark saying Max should take every pole. He has the best car by far. Anything less is a failure by him. Well, not certainly him having the fastest car anymore, because I think that some of these other cars do behave better under bumpier circuits. Lando Norris being told we've had light drops reported from turn 7 to turns 8, but we don't see anything on the radar. Very light drops for now as the wind is picking up to 12.2 kilometers an hour southeasterly. Back onto the conversation about the Red Bulls having to get every single pole and every single race win. It's not so easy for them anymore, as I've said, because they rarely do seem to struggle on bumpier circuits, and there seems to be a couple of gremlins, maybe not necessarily reliability gremlins, but just getting the setup correct on a race weekend. Max Verstappen becoming a lot more vocal on the radio, not happy with the way that the car is reacting to his steering inputs this weekend, saying the steering felt a little bit funny. Hopefully, they were able to fix that ahead of the qualifying session here today. As Ritoya just saying that this is going to be the best quali. As we're watching, I think this is Fernando Alonso approaching the start-finish line to start his first hot lap. No, this is Lance Stroll starting his first hot lap now. Getting his banker lap in for today. Stroll comes onto the radio saying, tires are cold. I did expect that to happen. It is still really cold around the circuit. He goes quite hard onto the curbs into turn 4, now through turn 5, threading it through turn 6. Really difficult left-hander. You can get quite a lot of oversteer and often understeer, depending on how you take that line, as we're watching George Russell still in his pit box. Now getting released on brand new soft tires, as is Lewis Hamilton. 15 minutes remain of this Q1 session. If drivers do not get a clean lap in here, that could really affect them in terms of getting out, as this threat of rain is becoming more and more ominous. Stroll getting ready to put his first lap time on the board as Max Verstappen steals his fastest middle sector now. Lando Norris steals the fastest first sector. Someone's stolen the middle sector away from Verstappen as well now. Verstappen approaching the start-finish line. Norris has stolen the middle sector now away. Verstappen going quite deep into the wall of champions. Crosses the line, takes the fastest lap with a 1:15.194. Where will Lando Norris finish as he comes down the final long finish straight, approaching the start-finish line? A lot of traffic before the wall of champions, coming through the left-hander now. Past wall of champions, much neater and much more controlled than Verstappen. Norris crosses the line. He goes fastest with a 1:14.5, 0.6 seconds faster than Verstappen. Might be possible that drivers are on high levels of fuel as Sainz goes deep into turn 1. Heavy amounts of winds right now, and drivers already struggling with low grip out on circuit. 30 minutes remain. TC saying both Mercs are now out on circuit, as we do now have all 20 cars out on circuit. Stroll on his second push lap takes the fastest first sector, so clearly drivers taking more fuel to get as many laps out on as possible because of the threat of rain. Yuki Tsunoda finishes his lap with a 1:17.9, only good enough for 6th. Stroll approaching the start-finish line now. Where can he put himself? He goes up to first with a 1:14.519, fastest final sector for him. Magnussen goes up to 9th as Sargent moves himself up to 5th. Ricciardo now up to 7th with a 1:16.496. Perez noting very low grip out on circuit. Russell going even faster, half a second up at the moment on Stroll's time. Hamilton 0.1 down on Stroll's time. Leclerc finishes his lap with 1:15. Only good enough for 7th as Hulkenberg puts himself into 3rd. Russell passing the World of Champions now crosses the finish line. Alonso goes first. And now Russell takes that away from him. Hamilton now also crosses the line, 3rd fastest with a 1:14.494. 224 of you watching alongside with me. Thank you very much for joining on this channel. I am Reece, joining you on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you have not already. Looking at Fernando Alonso getting so close, or rather Lance Stroll getting super close to the Wall of Champions. You don't want to get any closer than that, because that could be the end of your qualifying session. A wall that has caught out the greats like Michael Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, just to name a few. Just looking at that massive snap of understeer that Carlos Sainz had into turn 1, just struggling on his tire grip there. Lando Norris on his 2nd push lap now, though, going way faster than his 1st, crosses the finish line now and goes fastest with 1:13.541. Norris takes the fastest sector in all 3 sectors, 20.7 in the 1st, 23.3 in the 2nd, and a 29.4 in the 3rd sector. Stroll still pushing out on circuit. Current elimination zone drivers are Sargent in 16th, Perez in 17th, Ricciardo in 18th, and Tsunoda in 19th. And that is now changed up with Zhou 16th, 17th is Sargent, Perez is 18th, 19th is Ricciardo, and 20th is Tsunoda. Verstappen is only 14th though at the moment, so he needs to get a better time on the boards as he set the fastest 1st sector of anybody. Yellow flag in sector 1, possibly just an excursion into the grass or something, as Stroll moves himself up into 2nd place. Sargent moves himself up to 5th, waiting for Daniel Ricciardo to cross the line. He goes up to 3rd. Lindy was saying, when I think of past GPS, it seems that the Merc cars prefer cold temperatures. That's when the cars seem to perform the best. Verstappen first, fastest in the 1st sector, personal best in the middle. What can he do now? Crosses the line and goes fastest with 1:13.368, 0.173 faster than Lando Norris. Very good lap time from Max Verstappen. Perez only goes fastest for 50, now gets dropped down to 16. He's still struggling in that Red Bull car. DC saying that Stroll is quick today. Certainly is looking a little bit faster. As we're watching Stroll having a Russell goes over the grass there. Sorry, just a momentary disconnection for me, but I am now back. George Russell went a little bit wide there and went over the grass, so that will be the end of his current lap. 8 minutes and 38 seconds remaining. Verstappen still with the fastest lap time of 1:13.368. Lando Norris in 2nd, 0.1 down. Lance Stroll still with some great pace out here, 0.1 down as well, as Alonso is making himself in with a mix in 4th. Carlos Sainz in 5th, Charles Leclerc in 6th right now, not being able to match the lap times of those top 4. Lewis Hamilton coming through the middle sector now. What can he do? Bit of an oversteer for him as he comes through one of those final couple of corners. Hamilton 0.7 up on Piastri. Purple sector in the middle sector. A little bit of wheel spin though as he comes out of the hairpin of turn 12. Russell goes fastest with a 113.2. As Hamilton waiting for him to approach and cross that start finish line. Where will he put his Mercedes? He goes up to third with the 113.443. Hamilton finding some good pace now for himself out on circuit, but George Russell really looking like the better of those two Mercedes today. Just watching a replay of Oscar Piastri coming through turn 3, just getting held up by George Russell, and I think that is Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah, that is Yuki Tsunoda who holds him up in the first sector. Really, really bad for those two cars to have held him up so badly. There may be an investigation into that as we're watching Lewis Hamilton coming through that oscillation down into turn 3 and 4, just seeing how the bodywork reacts and bobs around. As Charles Leclerc, seeing him getting held up a little bit into turn 1, just putting him off. He comes onto the radio saying, come on, they're being ridiculous. Just having that traffic on the inside of turn 1 that really puts you off as you approach that really tricky braking zone. Be sure to think about becoming a member of our channel if you are one of our regulars, where you can, of course, gain access to more exclusive content, as well as being able to be seen a little bit better in our chat, as well as just supporting this channel and everything we do on it. If you don't want to become a member, be sure to think about also checking out one of our channel partners, BITDEFENDER, down in the description below for all of your cybersecurity needs. Check out the global leader in cybersecurity, BITDEFENDER. As we're watching a little bit of a lull in action out on circuit now, some drivers out on warm-up laps ahead of their final pushes. Sergio Perez still pushing out on circuit though, trying to find any pace in his Red Bull car. He is currently in the bottom elimination zone, sitting in 17th, wide as he comes through turn 12, missing the apex. Perez, who's just had his contract extended with Red Bull, desperate to find some form here this weekend in Canada. Coming through 13 and 14, he abandons this lap and goes straight into the pits. Verstappen also into the pits. 5 minutes remaining of this Quali 1 session now. Perez now getting lifted up on the jacks and being put back into the garage. Hopefully they can make a little setup change and allow him to be a little bit more comfortable in his car. But he is certainly not looking as happy in that Red Bull as Max Verstappen is at the moment. Watching Pierre Gasly right now out on circuit. Still watching with Pierre Gasly coming beautifully through the middle sector, really hooking it up. Not too much wheel spin as he comes through turn 11 and 12. Really, really tricky happen as race control is noting the impeding from Hamilton, Tsunoda, and Piastri for turn 4. Piastri is currently up on Tsunoda's time to get himself out of that relegation zone. Will he be able to do it? He should come across the line any second now. As Gasly crosses the line, he puts himself in second place with a 113.289. Brilliant lap time for the Alpine. Piastri now coming through the final 2 corners, so close to the wall of champions. DRS open once again. He crosses the start finish line and only good enough for 11th, but hopefully that should be enough to keep him out of trouble. Stroll goes faster with 113.088, going up to that top spot. Ocon improves for 5th place with a 113.4. Johan asking why are Ferrari in the pits? They're just putting on some new tyres. They are out on circuit though once again, as is Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Lando Norris now goes even faster with 112.959. He says, I see your 113. and now up until 1:20 or 1:12. So brilliant lap time for Lando Norris, waiting for Tsunoda. Tsunoda across the line. He goes up to fourth. Brilliant lap time for himself. The evolution is monstrous around here, so certainly will affect whoever gets out last. Max Verstappen complaining about downshifts on his car. Being told that not all of his feedback needs to be over the radio. He can also just let them know digitally on the dash. So maybe just not wanting to give as much of their struggles away to their rivals today. As Lindy would says, might a Stroll podium be on the cards tomorrow? That would be a lovely surprise. It certainly would be an interesting surprise. I don't think it's necessarily possible, but we'll have to wait and see. They are looking like they are quite competitive at the circuit this weekend. Watching Sainz at the moment out on circuit putting in a hot lap. Hamilton finishes up a lap time with a 1:12.5 or 1:12.8 rather. Lando Norris jumps into the pits. He is secure for this session as the FIA stewards say no further investigation for the Hamilton Tsunoda incident when they impeded Oscar Piastri. Leonardo Longhi saying, hi there, late to the party, but here I am. Thank you very much for joining with us. And thank you very much to the 264 others that are also in the stream here at the moment. Thank you very much for joining. Be sure to let me know who you're supporting. Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez are finishing up their final hot laps. Will they be able to get themselves a little bit high up the order as Perez is just faster than the driver he needs to beat, Alex Albon? But will that be enough? Perez is improving, but as is everyone else on the grid. Will that be enough for him to get out? Leclerc finishes his lap time. Good enough for sixth place right now. Sergio Perez now coming through the final two chicanes past the wall of champions. Coming across the finish line, only good enough for 12th. Will that be enough for him? There's still a lot of drivers who need to finish their lap times. Verstappen going fastest in the first and second sector. Brilliant lap time for himself right now being shown with only 3 seconds remaining. So this will be the end of the session. Now Albon's improving on his lap time. Will it be better than the likes of Sergio Perez? Sargent goes up to 6th. Brilliant lap time for Logan Sargent. Alex Albon needs to be able to match that or better that. Verstappen now coming past the wall of champions, approaching the start finish line. He goes up into first place with a 1:12.360, 0.491 faster than Lewis Hamilton. Tsunoda improves up to second place with a 1:12.748, 0.3 down on Max Verstappen. Brilliant lap time for Yuki Tsunoda. Where will Alex Albon put himself? He passes the wall of champions, approaching the start finish line. Where can he go? He goes up to fourth. Brilliant lap time for himself. He eliminates Sergio Perez, though, from qualifying one here in Canada. Sergio Perez punching the air, very disappointed and very frustrated in that Red Bull car, eliminated from Quali 1 for the second weekend in a row. Very, very disappointing for himself, disappointing for Hugh Bird, his race engineer, as well, as he just lets out expletives on the radio. We do not know what has happened to Sergio Perez. 2-year contract extension for Sergio Perez, but he is out in qualifying one, and his family in the garage also not looking like they're all too impressed with that. Red Bull fans as well looking like they are quite disappointed with Sergio Perez here today. Lindiwe saying, your Perez, just after contract extension news. Just, yeah, that is not the reason he has been re-signed with Red Bull. That is not the pace that we expect from Sergio Perez, a very, very senior and very, very experienced racing driver in Formula One, taking part in one of the most competitive teams and competitive cars on the grid. That is not what he should be doing, as you can see him just getting frustrated, hitting the halo, punching his arms in the air, and shaking his head in the cockpit as he is told that he has been dropped from Quali 1. That is very disappointing for him, especially when Verstappen is leading the entire grid right now as a Sergio Perez fan, just mimicking some tears out in the grandstands. Ari just saying, give Yuki Sergio's seat. I certainly agree with you there. So, looking at the gap between Verstappen and Perez, Verstappen is 0.78 faster than Sergio Perez. That is just a massive gap to Sergio Perez. Rain is really, really close now overhead. So this could affect the next session. Sergio Perez just looking absolutely distraught under his race helmet. Leonardo Longhi saying Perez gets a new contract. Sargent is the one to move out of the elimination zone. It is certainly an interesting one there. Sargent finding some great pace out in his Williams kart here today. Now, Rob Porchisa saying he should be doing better. I certainly agree with you there. Looking at this rain cloud moving overhead, it is a small weather system, but it is enough to completely cover the track, and it is making its way overhead. Then Dewey saying, if Perez continues to perform this way, I would not be surprised if Christian Horner triggers a release clause. I don't think Perez is 100% safe with the contract extension. No, I certainly don't think he is safe there either. I think, yeah, it could be quite tricky for him if he does not pick up the pace in that Red Bull second car as we're watching the rain cloud moving closer overhead. Another random human saying Yuki literally confirmed by Red Bull for next year, now trying to show that he deserved better. Certainly, we'll wait and see what happens with that second Red Bull seat. It is such a tricky seat to be in Formula One because you are up against the most dominant, one of the most dominant racing drivers in the sport at the moment, in one of the most dominant cars as well. Ari saying they can easily switch drivers between the two teams, even with their contracts. They certainly can. They own the two teams. They've done it before in the past, and I'm sure they'll do it again if it needs be. All of the drivers waiting at the end of the pit lane right now, waiting for the green flag, as rain is expected in under 20 minutes now. All the drivers out on a brand new set of soft tyres. Wow, Max Verstappen really close to the rear of the McLaren. He might even be touching that rear tyre of Oscar Piastri. No, it's just millimeters between Verstappen and Piastri there. As we're watching the Red Bull still fired up, waiting for these green lights to be shown. He is so close to the back of Piastri's car. As we're now seeing the fans starting to put on their raincoats. So this could be very, very interesting. It is all about who gets in that first hot lap time, who can get it in the best first. And of course, it's all possibly going to count now because of that incoming rain. 15 minutes now on the clock, and the green flag is shown. First driver is now out as we're seeing the rain falling over the circuit. It is now raining. So, as I said, these first laps will certainly count. As TC says, the rain looks heavy. It certainly does look like big raindrops overhead. Verstappen going out on a set of used tyres, this could work out well for him because it could allow uh, him to warm his tyres up that little bit faster. He's going to have to wait for the entire grid to go past him, though, because he was not able to get his nose in there. He does now get going, though, as rain is expected in about a couple more minutes, but it is certainly starting to come overhead. Leonardo saying, let's go, love rainy weekends. Leonardo asking how long the rain will last. At the moment, 2 to 3 minutes is what he's being told, but who knows what is going to happen out here. George Russell starts the first hot lap of the Q2 session now. He will be able to get his first lap time on the board, at least ahead of everyone else, as Max Verstappen only leaves the pit lane now. Russell rarely hooked up coming through turn 6 now, ahead of Max Verstappen, purple first sector. You can see some of the raindrops just sliding across his visor. He could get the best opportunity here, the driest conditions out of anybody. Fastest first and second sector. Hamilton not able to match that first sector. Hamilton steals that second sector, though, away from George Russell. But who will get the fastest overall lap time? Russell making his way through 14 and 15 past the wall of champions, not hitting it here today. Crosses the line. Where does he put himself? Of course, in first with a 1:13.1. A good starting lap time. Verstappen now starts his hot lap. Hamilton crosses the line. He puts himself up into first with the 1:13.104. Point 1 or 0.01 faster than his teammate. Piastri fastest in the middle sector, currently ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, coming through the final 2 corners past the wall of champions. Approaching that start-finish line, he crosses the line and moves himself up to 4th. Magnussen, though, still ahead of him in 3rd. Piastri now coming past the wall of champions, opens up his DRS, approaches that start-finish line, crosses the line, and he goes fastest with a 1:12.462. Verstappen, 0.4 down in the middle sector. Verstappen being noted for failing to follow the race director's instructions. Verstappen now coming through the final chicane, past the wall of champions, really close there. He crosses the line and goes second with a 1:13.084. Not able to match Piastri's lap time, but good enough on a set of used soft tyres. 10 laps, the 10 laps remain of this session. Albon. Albon moves himself up into 7th place. Sargent down behind him in 9th. As now Sainz moves himself up into 2nd place. Alonso now finishing up his lap time, coming past the wall of champions, opening up the DRS, approaching that start finish line, crosses it, and he goes second now with a 1:12.851. The second driver to join Piastri in the 1:12s for this session. Charles Leclerc now steals that away with a 1:12.7. George Russell, though, going even faster out on circuit. Purple first and second sector. As Jason Play says, what is going on with Perez? I'm sure everyone would like to know. George Russell now coming past the final two corners, past the World of Champions. Where will this put him? DRS open, cross the line, and he goes fastest with a 1:12.323. Looking like the best lap of the weekend now for George Russell on that lap time. 393 of you watching alongside with me. Thank you very much for joining. Be sure to hit the like button as Max Verstappen gets held up a little bit. Verstappen getting held up by one of the Mercedes. Sargent feeling a little bit more comfortable in his car this weekend. 0.3 down on Sainz's time. TC saying Lewis had oversteer on his lap. That would explain why he's a little bit down. Jason Play saying Mercedes won in third. If I'm seeing this right, which you certainly are. Piastri splitting the two of them right now in second place. Sargent finishes his lap time only good enough to get ahead of his teammate for 13th place. Williams looking like they have a little bit more speed here this race weekend, trying some new things on their car. Verstappen now starting his next hot lap. He's currently down in that elimination zone, certainly not where he wants to be with that incoming threat of rain. Jason asking, are Mercedes back? Well, we'll have to wait and see till the end of this qualifying session. Verstappen's up on Sainz's first sector. Coming through the middle sector now, DRS wide open through turn 8 and 9, beautifully through there. He's not taking an excursion over the grass like he did yesterday in the wet. Verstappen up on Sainz. Sainz is struggling to find pace around the circuit here this weekend. Rain being predicted in 9 minutes' time. Verstappen now breaking into the final two corners of 13 and 14. Now hurtling towards the start finish line. Will this put him close enough? Only good enough for 9th place right now. $440 of you watching alongside with me. Thank you very much for joining. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, as I see we've jumped up by a couple hundred subs during the stream. Leclerc now coming through the final two corners, down in the middle sector on his fastest lap time. Crosses the line half a second down on his personal best. Ferrari don't look like they have the most comfortable car out here today. Sainz is struggling down in 8th. Leclerc also seeming like he's struggling in 5th right now. We're seeing all of the drivers going out for their final runs. We're watching not Fernando Alonso, that is Lance Stroll on a brand new set of softs, as is Yuki Tsunoda. Looking like some issues though for the Williams car of Albon while they're trying to get the one tire on. Just struggling to get a right rear onto this car. Brand new set of tires, really struggling to get it attached though. Oh, big snap of oversteer for George Russell. Very close to the wall into turn 4. He comes onto the radio saying, holy moly, I had a big moment in turn 4. just so close, drifting all the way out of turn 3 into 4. Russell still pushing out on circuit with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. TC saying the grip is certainly reducing now. It does seem to be that way, TC. As Verstappen gets a brand new set put onto his car now. Jason plays saying Red Bull have been struggling a lot lately, and that he has subbed to the channel. Thank you very much for subbing to the channel. TC saying grip is reducing. Yes, that he is. And Pete saying, can you let us hear the cars? Unfortunately, we cannot, as that is covered by Formula One's copyright. Alex Albon marginally up on Max Verstappen's lap time at the moment. That is that cusp for the elimination zone. Lance Stroll improving on his lap time as well, 0.16 up on Max Verstappen's time. Verstappen is, though, out on a and now looking at Daniel Ricciardo trying to get himself out of that drop zone. Verstappen still sitting in the drop zone. Ricciardo 0.002 to Carlos Sainz, the driver he needs to beat. Lance Stroll approaching the start-finish line. He improves on his lap time for 5th place now. Drivers all desperately pushing to make sure that they're safe for the final qualifying session. Leclerc comes onto the radio being told, we're expecting some drops of rain at the checkered flag, just for your information. Verstappen is still on his outlap, though. He's about to start his final lap. He needs to get a clean lap in if he wants to get out of this qualifying 2 session. As we're waiting for him to finish up his lap time, 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining on the lap time on the board. Fighting the car through the middle sector. Three tenths up on Logan Sargent, but a little bit of sliding as he comes out of the apex. Waiting to see where Verstappen will finish. Hamilton up in the middle sector. Verstappen now coming through 13 and 14. Little bit of oversteer. Fighting the car, getting so close to the wall of champions. He now approaches the start-finish line, crosses the line. That's good enough for 5th. And that should be good enough to get him into Q3. Just by the skin of his teeth in that Red Bull. Looking so difficult in these closing stages of Q2. 30 seconds remaining as Hamilton crosses the line. And he goes even faster with the 1:11.979, the fastest lap time of the weekend. Mercedes with some great pace here this weekend. Carlos Sainz now approaching the start-finish line. Russell going even faster than Hamilton with a 1:11.742. Ooh, big snap of oversteer for Sainz as he comes out. Sainz is out, unfortunately, of the session, and Leclerc will be out as well. Albon up into P6. So both Ferraris eliminated from Q2. That is massive news. Both Ferraris eliminated from Q2. As Ollie Behrman gives the same reaction as all of us in the grid box, in the pit lane of Ferrari. Leclerc comes onto the radio. He is fuming. Just saying, am I? Oh, well, Leclerc comes onto the radio asking, are we out? Getting told yes, and he says, I won't comment there. 0.032 is the gap from Leclerc to Stroll. Nothing in between those two drivers. Sainz coming onto the radio saying it has been so difficult with no grip. It is going to be a very interesting race tomorrow. If we have some Ferraris fighting through the order, we could even get a Red Bull having to fight through the order tomorrow. Not just of Perez, but also of Verstappen. Julia Baum saying, as if my Sauber misery wasn't bad enough, Ferrari has to give me depression as well. Just normal Ferrari things, unfortunately. Just watching that oversteer moment from Carlos Sainz, so close. Maybe just a little bit ego on the throttle as he comes through 30, sliding it through there, but marginally being able to hold it on and being able to keep it out of the Wall of Champions. Jason saying, have Mercedes and Ferrari swapped performances? I don't think so. I think it's just certain tracks suit other cars a little bit better. As just to go through the dropout zone once again, it is Leclerc, Sainz, Sargent, Magnussen, and Gasly eliminated from the Q2 session. It is now raining overhead in Montreal. They will now have a very difficult decision to make. Will they go out on the soft tyres once again, or do they go out on the intermediates because of the rain? It is going to be a difficult decision to make now, as I said, just gauging where the grip will be out on circuit and with what tyre to choose. Just looking at the track dominance between Stroll and Leclerc, it is the straights that was able to give Stroll the upper edge here today and allow him to eliminate Charles Leclerc from that Q2 session. Lando Norris sitting comfortably in his car, waiting for him to go out on circuit again. Piggyback saying it is a crime making Tsunoda drive that racing bull. It certainly is at the moment, but that's not affecting him. He's being able to extract some phenomenal phenomenal pace out of his B car. All the teams now scrambling to get possibly those intermediate tires ready for their cars. It's spitting out on circuit, but we're seeing the drivers being readied to go out on a set of softs, at least for Verstappen. So they're just going to have to hope that the intermediates, or the softs rather, are going to have enough pace to be able to take them through. Just watching a replay of Verstappen getting so close to the Wall of Champions. Just seeing the gap 1 centimeter to the Wall of Champions. That is just absolutely bum-clenchingly close as you approach that wall and just get within a centimeter of hitting it. Waiting for the drivers to get out onto circuit now, as we have a few minutes to go until we get the green light for the final qualifying session out here in Montreal, Canada. What an interesting qualifying it has been so far, with the drivers eliminated at the moment. Leclerc, Sainz, Sargent, Magnussen, Gasly, Perez, Bottas, Ocon, Hulkenberg, and Just trying to see who's 20th. That would be Zhou Guanyu in 20th place. Fernando Alonso sitting in 8th right now. Or sorry, 9th right now. Where will he be able to go in this final session? He is quite good in the rain. We'll have to wait and see whether that will make things a little bit interesting here this afternoon, if that's going to come into play, or whether they'll be able to go out still on a set of slick tires, get one lap in as a banker, and then hope that is enough to take them to the end of qualifying this afternoon. 500 though of you watching alongside with me, thank you very much for joining. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and check out our channel partner BITDEFENDER down in the description below, as well as think about becoming a channel member. TC saying, I think Max will get 4th. His car doesn't look stable. He is certainly fighting around with it quite a lot here this afternoon. Hopefully they will be able to dial that in ahead of this final qualifying session. But at the moment, it does look like he is struggling. The rain overhead right now. Dark, dark clouds over this beautiful Montreal circuit. As we're seeing where the Mercedes are making up their lap time, it is mostly in the low speed corners. They make up 0.2 seconds alone in the low speed corners around this circuit. So clearly some of the upgrades working beautifully on that Mercedes car, being able to keep their average speed up around this circuit. It is such a flowing circuit, meaning that if you carry more speed into one corner, it allows you to continue that throughout the rest of your lap. Now hearing from the eliminated driver of Charles Leclerc, looking quite upset, asking what's wrong. He says it's just slow. It's been slow all day. He had a sensor issue this morning, which is annoying, and just not feeling as comfortable as he would like in the car right now, saying it's a tough session, and they've made a bit of a compromise in the setup of the car here today. As we now have the green light, we've got one of the McLarens leaving the grid box first. It is going to be a difficult race, though, for the Ferraris tomorrow, starting down in 11th and 12th. Hopefully, they will have opportunity to make some overtakes, especially with these long straights here. Leclerc still saying that it's going to be a bit of a miserable race, but yeah, don't know really what is going to happen ahead of us tomorrow. 11 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. As JP says, Formula One is getting really exciting again, with a different team looking like they can win at each race weekend these days, hoping for a Merc win tomorrow just to make things even more competitive. As Dirt says, Mark Marquez 93, you're watching the wrong sports, friend. Maybe join us next weekend when we are streaming the Moto GP once again. But you can, of course, continue to watch with us here at the end of this qualifying 3 session. 10 minutes and 46 seconds left to go as we're waiting for Oscar Piastri, almost said Lando Norris there, approaching the start-finish line to start his final couple of qualifying laps here in Q3. TC saying Ferraris are the second fastest team, or were the second fastest team. All of a sudden, they are the 5th fastest. The wind's possibly changed here, as it looks like the rain isn't really coming over as much as we were expecting. Piastri sliding a little bit around into turn 4, but still staying composed out on circuit. 20.4 is his first exit time. 536 of you watching alongside with me, thank you very much for joining. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and like the video as well. Waiting for Piastri to come through the middle sector. His purple first sector has been stolen away from him. Purple second sector, though, for himself now. Piastri's been a driver that has really impressed me over his first season in Formula One, and now in his second season has really been doing so well. Just watching a replay of Piastri through that fourth corner with a little bit of an oversteer. Verstappen, though, fastest in the first sector. Now, massive amounts of oversteer for Piastri coming through 13 and 14 past the Wall of Champions. Now, Verstappen approaching that finish line, also really wide into the wall of near the Wall of Champions. Piastri's time a 1:12.7, Verstappen's time a 1:12.358. Brilliant for Verstappen. On a used tyre as well for Max Verstappen. Lando Norris goes third fastest with a 1:13. Stroll now coming next across the line. Where will he put himself? JP saying someone is going to go into the wall tomorrow. So much sliding about certainly is going to happen, especially if we do get some rain coming into play. It is going to make it very, very difficult. Lance Stroll crosses the line. Where can he put himself? Up into fourth place for now. Alex Albon is going to be the next one across the line. He's still coming down that back straight. TC saying a great lap from Max. It certainly was. Alex Albon fighting the car a little bit through 14 past the Wall of Champions. He moves himself up into fifth ahead of Norris and Tsunoda. Norris and Tsunoda definitely able to find some more times in their cars right now. We now have George Russell going around the circuit. The faster of the two Mercedes here this weekend. Russell, Sandy saying, what is Merck waiting on? Nothing at the moment as they are going out around the circuit. 0.1 up in the first sector is George Russell. And Hamilton also up 0.165. And he steals that purple sector away from George Russell. Seven minutes remaining. Russell 0.4 up on Verstappen. This could take us into the 111s here. Where will Russell put himself now? He's got a little bit of traffic coming into 13 and 14. Hopefully they will stay well out of his way. They certainly do. They jump into the pits. Russell now finishes his lap time. Where will he put himself? He goes first with a 1:12 dead. 1:12.000. Can Hamilton improve? No, he can't. 1:12.280. Brilliant lap time from Russell, though, with 1:12 dead. Mara saying, what did I walk into and what is going on? It certainly has been one not to miss out here in Canada. Be sure to join us for the race tomorrow if you have missed any of this qualifying session, because just based off this, it is going to be a phenomenal race ahead of us. TC saying, come on, Lewis. Rod Brown saying, Villeneuve needs to shut up about Ricciardo. Of course, he knows. Yeah, LOL. It certainly is not helping when you have a little bit of extra pressure being put on by the likes of Villeneuve, when you know the expectations that are being put on you. Jason saying, come on, Lewis. Now everyone in the next little bit of a lull coming into the pits. Ricciardo, Norris, Tsunoda, Albon, Stroll, Alonso, and Verstappen all in the pits right now, putting on their final set of tyres with 5 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. Watching a replay of Oscar Piastri coming into the pits. What happened here for him? Oh, there was someone walking across the pit lane. So, oh, so close. Comes Lewis Hamilton through the Wall of Champions. Julia saying, Alex, our qualifying land on at the moment. What is going on? It is really difficult track conditions around this Montreal circuit because it is so cold, it's really windy, and there is a big threat of rain overhead. But not falling just yet. Verstappen sitting 0.3 down on those two Mercedes right now on that set of used mediums. He should go out, or used softs rather. He should go out on a brand new set for his final run. Piastri now out on circuit once again. Johan asking, is Lewis on for a return here? Mara asking, why are the Ferraris out? They just did not have the pace and were not able to get their cars hooked up enough in the qualifying 2 session, unfortunately. So they are out here today as Piastri is flying around the middle sector right now. Piastri coming through the hairpin. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. The closing stages of qualifying here in Canada. 710 of you watching alongside with me. Thank you very much for joining. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you aren't already, and hit the like button while you're at it. Piastri coming past the wall of champions. He goes fastest in the final sector and puts himself into second place. 0.103 down on Russell's time. Much better, but not able to match what Russell has been able to do out on circuit. Lando Norris now 0.076 down on Russell in the middle sector. Could he be able to put something a little bit special out of the hat here? Norris approaching the final chicane on circuit. As Mara says, Canada rarely pulled an Uno reverse card. It certainly has. Lando Norris approaching the start-finish line, crosses the line now, and he puts himself second with a 1:12.021, 200ths of a second down on George Russell's lap time. Two minutes and 20 seconds now remaining as the Red Bull of Max Verstappen is getting released on a brand new set of soft tyres. Lewis Hamilton, though, who has the tied amount of most wins with Michael Schumacher around the circuit, is also not one to be discounted. Julia saying, if the conditions tomorrow will be similar to what we saw so far this weekend, it is going to be really interesting. I think it will come down to who will be able to keep it out of the wall best. Well, certainly that is one of the more difficult things to do around the circuit. Such close walls. As TC says, Russell is Mr. Saturday. Stroll 0.2 down in the first sector now. Really fighting with the car as he comes through 6 and 7. Through turn 8 and 9 now. Desperately trying to out-qualify his teammate Fernando Alonso. Every single driver out now on a brand new set of tyres. Max Verstappen preparing to start his final lap now. As Stroll gets a little bit of slipstream through 13 and 14. This should help him as he comes across the line. Where will he go? Across the line, only good enough to get into 6, but that is where he wants to be, ahead of his teammate. Daniel Ricciardo is going to be one of the next push laps to come across the line. Through turn 13 and 14. Can he out-qualify his teammate for only the second time this season as Verstappen's going even faster out of the circuit? He moves up to P4. Brilliant lap time for Daniel Ricciardo. Fernando Alonso also still pushing out on circuit. Personal best for him. He puts himself now up into P5 behind Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen pushing, approaching the middle sector now. 0.053 down on Russell though. The margin so close between the first 3 drivers. Who will take that top spot though? Verstappen will be desperate as he's coming through towards 13 and 14. This could be where he makes or breaks it here today. Checkered flag flying. Verstappen coming past the wall of champions. Can he do enough? Only good enough. He matches Russell's time. Matches it to the exact millisecond. Only good enough for second place because George Russell put that lap time down first. So Verstappen will be on the second position in the start of the race tomorrow as George Russell does not improve on his lap time on his final push lap, and neither does Lewis Hamilton. What an extraordinary qualifying session that has been. Max Verstappen second place, George Russell first, Lando Norris down in third, Piastri fourth, Ricciardo fifth, Alonso sixth, Hamilton seventh, Tsunoda eighth, Stroll ninth, and Alex Albon in 10th. What an interesting qualifying that has been out here in Canada, made very difficult by the cold conditions and the threat of rain, of course. As just to go through our grid order once again, George Russell takes the top spot with a 1:12.000. Verstappen matches that lap time to the absolute millisecond. Toto Wolff looking secretly very happy for himself. Third place is Lando Norris, 0.021 seconds slower than Verstappen and Russell. Piastri then in fourth. Daniel Ricciardo in fifth. Brilliant qualifying for him here today. Alonso sixth, Hamilton seventh, Tsunoda eighth, Stroll ninth, Albon 10th, Leclerc 11th, Sainz 12th, Sargent 13th, Magnussen 14th, Gasly 15th, Perez 16th, Bottas 17th, Ocon 18th, 19th is Hulkenberg, and in 20th place we have Zhou Guanyu as Russell goes mad over the radio as he is celebrating his qualifying pole position here today. Brilliant race ahead of us tomorrow. Be sure to join us for that. And before you all jump off the stream, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. I've been Reese here on Forever Motorsports. Be sure to check out our channel partner BITDEFENDER, linked in the description below. Thank you very much once again for joining me down in the comment section. To all of the regulars such as Jason Plays, Julia, TC, Narol, Old Man, Rulin, Diwe, Mara, thank you very much for joining me here today. Be sure to join me once again tomorrow for the race here in Canada. I've been Reese. Thank you very much for joining me on Forever Motorsports. Cheers.